Archimedes was my ideal. I admired the works of artists, but to my mind, they were only shadows and semblances. The inventor, I thought, gives to the world creations which are palpable, which live and work. Let the future tell the truth, and evaluate each one according to his work and accomplishments. The present is theirs, the future, for which I have really worked, is mine. Be alone, that is the secret of invention. Be alone, that is when ideas are born. What one man calls God, another calls the laws of physics. From my childhood I had been intended for the clergy. This prospect hung like a dark cloud on my mind. Our virtues and our failings are inseparable, like force and matter. When they separate, man is no more. Every living being is an engine geared to the wheelwork of the universe. Though seemingly affected only by its immediate surroundings, the sphere of external influence extends to infinite distance. The scientists of today think deeply instead of clearly. One must be sane to think clearly, but one can think deeply and be quite insane. The spread of civilization may be likened to a fire. First, a feeble spark, next a flickering flame, then a mighty blaze, ever increasing in speed and power. The feeling is constantly growing on me that I had been the first to hear the greeting of one planet to another. It seems that I have always been ahead of my time. I had to wait 19 years before Niagara was harnessed by my system, 15 years before the basic inventions for wireless, which I gave to the world in 1893, were applied universally. The Secretary of Hygiene or Physical Culture will be far more important in the cabinet of the President of the United States, who holds office in the year 2035, than the Secretary of War. There is no conflict between the ideal of religion and the ideal of science, but science is opposed to theological dogmas because science is founded on fact. To me, the universe is simply a great machine which never came into being and never will end. The human being is no exception to the natural order. Man, like the universe, is a machine. In a time not distant, it will be possible to flash any image formed in thought on a screen and render it visible at any place desired. The perfection of this means of reading thought will create a revolution for the better in all our social relations. When a coil is operated with currents of very high frequency, beautiful brush effects may be produced, even if the coil be of comparatively small dimensions. The experimenter may vary them in many ways, and, if it were nothing else, they afford a pleasing sight. I do not think you can name many great inventions that have been made by married men. Electrical science has disclosed to us the more intimate relation existing between widely different forces and phenomena, and has thus led us to a more complete comprehension of nature and its many manifestations to our senses. By an irony of fate, my first employment was as a draftsman. I hated drawing, it was for me the very worst of annoyances. Fortunately, it was not long before I secured the position I sought, that of chief electrician to the telephone company. The earth is bountiful, and where her bounty fails, nitrogen drawn from the air will refertilize her womb. I developed a process for this purpose in 1900. It was perfected 14 years later under the stress of war by German chemists.